But man, I love baseball. I was raised just outside of St. Louis, Missouri as a kid. I got to spend my summers watching God's favorite baseball team, the St. Louis Cardinals. Represent. Who? Y'all be careful, so I have to go over to see the church now. Man, so I grew up playing baseball. As a kid, I got to play. And man, whether it was playing Little League or get to play for city there, or just like to take up our best friends. We get together. I spent most of my time with my buddies playing baseball. As a kid, I loved it. Anytime we got together, this is what we did. And then in 2003, my favorite baseball player of all time was born, Tucker Jackson Dillbeck came on the scene. My wife and I named him Tucker Jackson because we thought it sounded like a shortstop. And that kid would go on to be quite a good shortstop. Not only did he inherit a love for baseball and play baseball, and I got to coach him most of his career. I spent most of the time on the field with that boy, and he and I made so many incredible memories together playing baseball. He would go on to play travel baseball. We were in Texas, which meant he played several hundred games a year. We never stopped. 12 months a year. We played, I counted last night, we played in over 13 different states. We traveled the U.S. and we met tons of people, all playing baseball. And then he would go on to play for Santa Barbara High School at A. Matthews Field. He was a Don and a two-time league champion. He pitched for the Dons. Once a Don, always a Don. And so, man, so this year, right now, is the first time in almost 40 years that I am myself not playing or coaching baseball. And I don't even know how to act, y'all. Like, I don't even know what to do with myself or my time. And so I'm going to find myself wandering over to McKenzie Park, watching the little guys play pony, hang out with them for a bit. But I just love watching games. The thing about the game, the thing that I really respect about it is it's such an incredibly hard sport to play. Like, they give you a round bat, and they throw a round ball to you and say, hit it square. And it's almost impossible to do. And in fact, the greatest athlete that I've ever seen in my lifetime was Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan can do things with a basketball that no one else had ever seen before. That guy could run faster than anyone else, jump higher than anyone else, was stronger than most people, was a fierce competitor, and he had immense success in basketball. In fact, he was head and shoulders better than everyone else. And then Michael Jordan tried to play baseball, and he was terrible. You see, at the core of baseball, it's a game of failure. Greatest players of all time to ever play this game, guys like Hank Aaron, Tony Gwynn, Mickey Mantle, Albert Pujols, man, the greatest hitters of all time. They only ever hit the ball about 3 out of 10 times. That means that 7 out of 10 times they failed. They didn't do their job. They struck out, they flied out, they grounded out. And the thing about baseball is it will grind you down. When most of your time is spent not doing your job or failing more than you're winning, man, that is a grind. Sportscaster Ernie Harwell said, baseball's a lot like life. It's a day-to-day existence full of ups and downs. And I think that's clearly what I respect the most about baseball players, is the mental and emotional fortitude it takes to play a game that's built around failure. I have a ton of respect for these guys and what they're able to do. Now, this morning, I think some of you could agree with me that life, like baseball, can be a little bit of a grind. Like, some of us come in here and we just kind of feel like, hey, I'm losing way more than I'm winning. And I'm not getting on base at the effort, at the clip I feel like I should be getting on base. And our everyday existence, just Monday to Tuesday, turns into a mental and emotional grind. And y'all, life can just get heavy when you fail more than you win. This is why Jesus talks about burdens and freedom a whole lot. In fact, there's a story where Jesus has an encounter with a woman at a city well. And this woman had found her identity in men. She'd been married 6 times. She had a lot of relational and emotional and even sexual regret in her life. Jesus meets her and he starts talking about this well and the water that's in it. And then he introduces her to this idea of living with water. And he's talking about himself. Jesus leads this woman into freedom. There's another instance where Jesus meets a man. He's a tax collector. And everyone in his hometown hates this guy because this guy has spent his whole life ripping everyone off. Because this man had this insatiable amount of greed in him. He had no idea, he could never be content. And he never had enough, and he wanted more, and he wanted more. And Jesus meets with him and says, hey, listen, I'm going to come to your house, and I'm going to sit with you. And I'm going to show you what real contentment looks like. Because the grind associated with greed was grinding him down. Jesus spends time with him, shows him what real contentment and real freedom looks like. Jesus spent his time helping people find freedom. And here at Mission City Church, we exist to help people find and follow Jesus. And I think you and I, we look a lot like Jesus when we, as the Apostle Paul put in Galatians 6, carry one another's burdens. My favorite thing about baseball is that it's a team game. Okay, you can have the best player in the world, but it takes 9. For those of you who don't know, baseball is structured in such a way that there are 9 players on defense and 9 players on offense. So you have 9 players that go out into the field. And you have guys that cover the outfield, and you have players that cover the infield. You have players, and there's a lot of strategy that goes into it. Some players can throw the ball really well, and so they pitch. Some players are fast and can run balls down and catch them in the air, and they play out. And then on offense, you structure it in such a way that you have some players that hit the ball really well for power, and then you got guys who just have a lot of speed. You have guys who are contact hitters, and then you have guys that just simply know how to get on base. And so there's strategy into who those players and how they play. And the idea is to structure your 9 guys and give yourself the best chance of scoring the most runs. See, baseball is a team game. Problem is, you and I live life. We forget so often that what we're doing here is actually a team game. We get so kind of siloed in our lives, in our jobs, and our identities that we forget that we're actually playing a team game. You see, the Bible does not forget this. In fact, the Bible is way more often addressing communities than it is individuals. Right? The Bible uses plural personal pronouns that the English language simply just doesn't have. You see, the New Testament was written in Greek, and there are some plural pronouns that formal English doesn't have, but rednecks like me do. All right? And so the better interpretation, for example, in Romans 12, it should read like this. Y'all do not be conformed to this world, but y'all be transformed by the renewal of the mind. That by testing, y'all may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And then there's the example of Jesus when he teaches his disciples how to pray. He says what? Our Father in heaven. And while following Jesus is a personal decision, the phrase personal Lord and Savior is not in the Bible. 1 John chapter 1 says, if we walk in the light as he is in the light. And the Bible is constantly reminding us that you and I are playing a team game. Right? We are not meant to carry the weight of our failure and of our burdens alone. Let me illustrate it to you like this. Let's say this bag of oranges weighs what? 1 to 2 pounds? Maybe 5, I don't know. And you ask me to hold this bag of oranges for 1 to 3 minutes. I could probably do it. In fact, I did it the other day when I was checking out. There's quite a line at the grocery store. And after a while, I was very much ready to put this bag of oranges onto the checkout. 1 to 3 hours. I could maybe do it, but I'm going to be cramping, and I'm already sweating. And then let's just say you ask me to hold this bag of oranges for 1 to 3 days. I'm going to need a chiropractor and maybe an orthopedic surgeon to deal with the damage that I'm going to do to myself holding these oranges. And this is what it means in Proverbs when it says, the longer you carry your own weight, the longer you carry your worry, the heavier it gets. You see, the more we shoulder burden alone, the heavier it gets on all of us. Jesus tells one of his friends, Martha, he says, Martha, you're distracted. You're distracted by the things that don't matter. And the Greek word that he uses there for distracted is the word periospato. And periospato means to be occupied by dragging something around. Have you ever been mentally occupied because you're just dragging that thing around internally? You can't seem to get it out of your mind. Not only does it sit into your mind, but it makes its way down into your gut. You just feel it. You ever feel like you're holding this bag of oranges? You're just holding it all by yourself. You just wish more than anything that somebody noticed. Psychologists are now referring to OCD no longer as just obsessive compulsive disorder, but also as obsessive comparison disorder. And so many of us are standing here holding these bags of oranges, these heavy weights, these burdens, these failures. We don't know quite what to do with it. We're looking to the left, we're looking to the right. Other people kind of hold them too, and they don't seem to know what to do with them. So I guess I just keep holding on to this. Did you know that according to research, 62% of college kids right now say they struggle with crippling anxiety around their grades and their futures? 50 years ago, Americans reported on average sleeping 2 more hours per night than we currently do right now. Since the rise of social media, we have never been more connected, yet never felt more alone than we do right now. And according to one source, Americans owe $986 billion in credit card debt. We owe $11.9 trillion on mortgages, $1.5 trillion on vehicle loans, and $1.6 trillion for student loans. We spend money that we don't have trying to connect and impress with people that we don't even know. And as a pastor, I've got to spend time with dying people who are at the end of their life, and they know it. And never once in my time with them has anyone ever said, hey, Pastor Sean, can you go get my car and pull it around? I just want to look at it. Never once has anyone said, will you go get that purse and let me just hold it? No. It's always, can you please just go get so-and-so? I want to be with people. I want to be with the people who matter. You see, we stress and we fight and we worry about the things that someday we're going to care so little about. And the Apostle Paul knew this. You see, in all of his New Testament letters, he's constantly reaching out to individuals. In fact, 34 different individuals are referenced in Paul's last 3 letters. He's constantly saying, hey, grace and peace to so-and-so. Or give a hug to so-and-so for me. Say hello to so-and-so for me. Tell so-and-so I said, what's up? You see, the Apostle Paul understood relational wealth. That we are playing a team game. And that's how he was able to say the following words in Philippians 4 when he said, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. Paul knew he was relationally wealthy. He had Jesus. He had his people. He said, I can make it to anything. I heard this story this week, and I just want to read to you for just a minute. Listen to this. It all happened in a second grade classroom in North Dakota. A 6-year-old boy sat at his desk, and all of a sudden he realized his pants were wet, and a puddle had formed on the floor beneath his feet. He thought his heart was going to stop. He couldn't possibly imagine how it had happened. It had never happened before, and he knew that when the boys in the class found out, he would never hear the end of it. And when the girls found out, they would never speak to him again, as long as he lived. And so he put his head down, and he prayed, Dear God, this is an emergency. I need help, and I need help now. And he looked up from his prayer, only to see the teacher coming towards his seat. Oh man, he said, she's going to see, and then, but just at that moment, a classmate named Beth came down the road carrying a goldfish, a bowl full of water. And she tripped in front of the teacher and unbelievably dumped the entire bowl of water right on the boy's lap. He pretended to be frustrated with her, while all the while in his mind he just kept saying, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Suddenly, instead of being the object of ridicule, he was the object of sympathy. Beth became the klutz and the focus of the embarrassment. He was off the hook. Later that day at the bus stop, the boy walked over to Beth and he whispered, Beth, you did that on purpose, didn't you? Beth whispered back, I'll let my parents wants to. Listen, the people around us, our circles, our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, our classmates, our family, our friends, they're looking for some way in the world to deal with the grind and the burdens and the embarrassment that comes with life. People who are failing way more than they're succeeding. People who are striking out way more than they're getting on base. People who don't even know what's possible. People who are chasing status. Okay, people whose whole identity is rooted in their sexuality, or who, or how many people they're sleeping with. Okay, people who are living fake lives on social media. People numbing their lives with every substance imaginable. People holding out burdens. People holding on. And listen, gang, this social experiment that we find ourselves in right now, it's a house of cards. And it cannot hold the weight that we think it can. And not if, but when this crumbles for those people that we know and love. The people of God will not say, I told you so. We will not stand as judges because we know the pain that we have endured carrying these burdens. And I love the way the message says this in 1 Peter. Check this out. It says, your life is a journey that you must travel with a deep consciousness of God. And it cost God plenty to get you out of that dead-end, empty-headed life you grew up in. He paid with Christ's sacred blood, you know, and he died like an unblemished sacrificial lamb. And this was no afterthought. Even though it has only lately, at the end of the ages, become public knowledge, God always knew what he was going to do for you. And it's because of this sacrifice Messiah, whom God then raised from the dead and glorified, that you trust God, and that you know you have a future in God. Now that you've cleaned up your lives by following the truth, love one another as if your lives depended on it. We're playing a team game. There's a play of baseball that happens when there's a runner on base and a ball gets hit to the outfield. You see, that outfielder then has a responsibility to get that ball back to the infield as fast as he can to try to stop that runner on base from scoring. But because of the distance from home plate to the outfield, the infielders then have to come out and help take that throw from the outfield and bring it all the way in. Those infielders become what we call a cutoff man. Okay, it is their job to receive that throw and to get it home. And in 2001, I witnessed what might be the most incredible play of a cutoff man I've ever seen. Check this out.
Doesn't have a stolen base the entire season, so you're not going to run, you're not going to hit and run. You got to wait for a gap.
Coaching baseball for as long as I have, one of the main problems baseball players have is they don't move their feet. In fact, they'll get stuck in a position and they'll just kind of stand in that spot. And when a ball like that gets hit to the outfield, well, they tend to get stuck watching. And what happened on that particular play is Derek Jeter recognized as soon as that ball left that outfielder's hands that it had no chance at making it home. So Derek Jeter left his spot at shortstop, ran all the way across the field, moved his feet, and made an incredible play to save a run. My point is this. Mission City Church, we are called to move our feet. We are not individuals playing positions. We are a community of people playing a team game. We have to move our feet in such a way as if Peter himself were telling us in the Message translation, as if your lives depended on it. Love one another. Moving our feet looks like this. It is putting the devices down. Okay, we stop the streaming, we chill out on the scrolling, we take the headphones out, the sunglasses off, we unload the self-righteousness, we put the judge's gavel down, and we remember that we once wet our pants too. We focus on what God has done for us. And because of the sacrifice that Jesus made on your behalf to bring you back to God, that is not lost on us. And we know that people matter to God, and therefore they need to matter to us. And we will move our feet towards people. People whose throw is never going to make it home on their own. People who are holding on to burdens, emotional burdens, mental burdens, financial burdens, physical burdens, are all around us. And God is calling us to play this team game in which we move our feet towards these people who are desperate for a cutoff man. We have 3 core values here at Mission City. Number 1 is that we are for everyone. And that's why we've been praying really hard this year that God will allow us to have 300 first-time visitors. And y'all, I'm so incredibly proud to tell you that so far this year, every Sunday we've had new guests attend here at Mission City. And we love that. We want to keep doing that. So if you're new today, know that you're an answered prayer. I don't want to freak you out, but we've been praying for you. And we're going to continue to do that because we're for everyone. Our third value is that we're for the city. And coming up early this summer, we're going to unpack a new For the City initiative for you guys, and I cannot wait to share that with you. But that's coming in the summer. And here's my point, is for the next 6 to 8 weeks, we're going to be right here in value number 2, and that is that we are for one another. But we recognize that we're playing a team game together, and that God has called us to shoulder and carry one another's burdens. And so for the next 6 weeks, we have came up with several different events in which you all can participate in that allow us to be together and to be for one another. So it looks like this, starting in 2 weeks. All right, we just opened today sign-ups for groups. We start groups, you can celebrate that. Yeah, let's go. Starting in. And if you've never been a part of a group in Mission City, we keep them at 6 weeks on purpose. So you can give it a fair shot. You've not signed up for something that you don't know when the end of it's going to be. You've not committed your life. You don't take your signature in blood. Like, you just get to be a part of it for 6 weeks. And if you've been in groups for a while and you're like, I'm kind of like, I need a break from groups, listen, we're going to try something different this year with groups, or this round of groups. We're going to go deeper. We're going to push it a little bit in your understanding of the Bible. And we're going to grow. I promise you, we're going to get deeper this round. So I invite you today, before you leave, sign up for a group. A group is an amazing opportunity for you to meet people, to share your burdens, and to help carry someone else's burdens in our groups. So that's opportunity number one. Opportunity number two is welcome lunch. All right? On May 7th, we're going to host a lunch right here in this building. As soon as church is over, we'll say amen, kind of put some things away, and then we'll have lunch together. And if you've never attended a welcome lunch here at Mission City, I'm going to invite you to sign up. You're going to hear the story of Mission City. You're going to hear our heartbeat and what we're about and where we're going and what we feel like God has called us to. And then we're going to give you the tools it takes to connect here, because church is just better when you connect and you belong. So I invite you to sign up for welcome lunch. And then finally, like I told you during the host block, we're going to have Mother's Day. Mother's Day is a great way for you to partner with us and invite your friends, your neighbors, your family to come. We're going to put kids in front of you. Come on, man. Who doesn't love coming and like hanging out with kids, seeing kids? We're going to celebrate kids in a culture that is now. We're going to celebrate kids. Okay? And we're going to celebrate parents. And we're going to show young parents that, hey, we're with you. And we're for you. You don't have to do this alone. I'm so grateful for some of you and the role you've played in my kids' life. And I just want that for every young parent here. So you have one of three opportunities I'm going to invite you to sign up for today. If you have the Mission City app, you can go to events, and under the events tab, you'll see welcome lunch and you'll see Mother's Day. And under the Mission City app's groups are its own app or its own page as well. And so please, this morning, don't leave here without taking advantage of one of those three things. Maybe all three. Sign up for all three if you want. If you don't have a Mission City app or you don't have a smartphone and you want to do this, we have iPads in the back. You can walk straight to the back, and someone in the back will help you get connected, help you sign up, help you be a part of this place. Listen, church is just better when we are for one another. If you didn't hear anything I said today, hear me say this. We're all playing a team game. All right? We're not built to do this alone. The longer you carry this, the heavier it's going to be, and the more damage it's going to do to you. Would you allow us as a community to come beside you, carry some burdens with you? Okay? Let me pray for you. God, you're good. And we thank you that you did not design us to do this alone. But God, you gave us Jesus. God, the example of what it means to be, God, an ambassador of hope and an ambassador of freedom. God, and as we follow him, would you lead us to places where there is captivity, where there is bondage? God, would you give us the opportunity to speak freedom into people's lives? And just come beside someone and help them carry their burdens. Would you remind us that we are not in this alone? That each and every one of us are playing this game as a team. And we need each other. Desperately. Would you convict us when we try to do things alone? Remind us that we are made better together. Remind us of your words. Give us conviction and courage to take a next step. Give us clarity. We do all this and we celebrate all this because of what Jesus did for us. When we pray these things, we say these things, we thank you so much for praise, Lord. In Jesus' name. Amen.